Meghan and Harry's utter humiliation as Sussex's reputation was mocked and wrecked couldn't be worse. The Sussexes have become something they never imagined, and it's having huge ramifications on their future. Hello, and a very warm welcome to our Kate Middleton and the Queen News YouTube channel. I don't really see Harry as the type of person who spends much of his time reading Oscar Wilde, but maybe he should start. There is a certain kind of kindred spirit thing going on for starters. The legendary author was a man who had no problem with provoking the upper crust, and he refused to back down in the face of prejudice. We've also got to remember one of Wilde's most famous witticisms. He said, "There is only one thing in life worse than being talked about, and that is not being talked about." That could be something to calm Harry down after the news of the royals' latest TV outing broke on Wednesday. Now, it's not like Harry and Meghan have signed on for I'm a Celebrity. I haven't heard any news that they're planning to host the MTV Awards, and I don't think they're going to be joining Simon Cowell to listen to caterwauling wannabes anytime soon. But an upcoming episode of South Park seems to be truly taking the piss out of them. In a teaser for an upcoming episode titled A Dumb Prince and His Stupid Wife. So Kyle, he's a character in the long-running show, and he says, "It is seriously driving me crazy. I'm sick of hearing about them, but I can't get away from them. They're everywhere in my beep face." And then Stan, another character, responds with, "Look, Kyle, we just don't care about some dumb prince and his stupid wife." I don't know about you all, but I'm kind of excited to watch this episode. So Meghan and Harry have quite literally become a laughingstock. And this is hardly the first example of late that they have been the butt of some very high-profile jokes. Just last week during the Grammys, the host Trevor Noah made fun of Harry, and before that, Chelsea Handler deadpanned during the Critics' Choice Awards, saying Dahmer became the third highest viewed show on Netflix with a combined watch time of 1 billion hours, which apparently is the same amount of time we're going to have to listen to Harry talk about his frostbitten penis. It's enough already. And then when Harry released his tell-all memoir Spare back in January, the Jimmy Kimmel Show first did a sketch making fun of the altercation between Harry and his brother Prince William. There were two actors dressed up as the singer Prince. And then, in a different episode, Kimmel told the audience that publishers had decided to release a children's book version of Harry's memoir, and they decided to call it The Prince and the Penis, and then he read from the book. He read, "At the chilly North Pole, a silly young codger took a walk in the snow and froze his wee todger." When it comes to the royal family, we've got to admit, they do give us a bit to laugh about. I mean, the foibles, the scandals, the extramarital affairs. It's been fodder for comedians and sketch writers for a long time now. But we also have to remember the fact that Meghan and Harry are beginning to look less like power players and more like a punchline. So, for starters, people in the US seem to be over them. Polling that was done after the release of Spare and Harry's TV appearances, there are more Americans who hold an unfavorable view of Meghan and Harry than favorable. And also, about half Americans believe Meghan and Harry should have their titles taken away. So, what's interesting about this situation, and yeah, maybe a little surprising, is that while Meghan and Harry may be the most famous people in the world who aren't on TikTok, that fame clearly has not translated into professional success. They're not making a bunch of money, and they are not A-list darlings. Now, we've come a long way since the days of July 2019 when Harry was invited to speak to a who's who of CEOs, billionaires, and people who buy private planes in bulk at Google Camp. Back then, there were some very powerful people who were listening to Harry, reportedly barefoot, talk about climate change. But these days, people like that want nothing to do with the gruesome twosome. Last week, we learned that they were guests at the vow renewal of the scandal hit talk show host Ellen DeGeneres and her wife, Portia de Rossi. And that was a ceremony that was presided over by Kris Jenner. And of course, Kris Jenner has sold out her own daughters to make all of her money. Now, other than that appearance that Harry made at the UN General Assembly last July, during which he spoke to a remarkable number of empty seats, the invitations to these kinds of high-profile events seem to be missing. Meghan and Harry also have not been accepted into the circle of any of Americans' political or cultural heavy hitters like Barack and Michelle Obama. Interestingly enough, it also seems like George and Amal Clooney are finished with them. So they launched their foundation in New York last year, and they had so many A-listers there, but Meghan and Harry were absent. Now, in their docu-series, Meghan and Harry made sure to include a scene of Meghan getting a text message of support from Beyoncé. I can't help but wonder why stars like that are not willing to align themselves with Meghan and Harry publicly. So, one possibility is that this is a direct consequence of their take no prisoners PR warfare. I'm talking about the Oprah interview, the Netflix series, Spare. So, it could very well be that Meghan and Harry are considered to be too controversial, too divisive, too polarizing for big celebrities to be involved with. And their careers are not looking much better. I mean, sure, Harry made history by having co authored, or I don't know, maybe had something to do with the writing of the fastest selling nonfiction book ever. Well, I guess that's proof that a B in art and a D in geography in his final exams, and never having worked for anybody other than his grandmother, is not going to be any problem when it comes to literary success. Currently, Harry may be riding pretty high, but the question is, what in the world are they going to do next? Both of them signed a deal with Spotify back in late 2020, but more than 2 years later, Harry hasn't produced anything other than a one off episode. And there has never been any suggestion whatsoever that he's quietly working on some podcast in the background. And then, of course, there was Meghan's podcast series titled Archetypes, which did make a big splash in the beginning, but soon enough, the episodes quietly slid down the platform's most popular list. Week after week, it looked worse and worse. And there hasn't been a peep that Spotify are excited to have a second series or any new offering. And what about Meghan and Harry's biggest deal, the deal they signed with Netflix? Well, the six-part docu-series included a lot of whining, it included some iPhone selfies, and they made sure to milk every last drop out of their journey. It was a rating success for Netflix. But, and I'm sure you knew there was going to be a but, the only other show that has been confirmed they have in the works is the documentary about the Invictus Games. That, of course, is a sporting event that Harry founded for wounded and serving veterans. Harry got started on that way back when he was still in HRH. There are no other shows or documentaries or opportunities for Harry to put on his barely used producer cap that have been announced. So at this moment, are Meghan and Harry busy on a host of exciting new projects for their various corporate paymasters? Well, I can't rule out the possibility. I mean, they do have bills to pay after all. But if this is the case, it's interesting that it is such a secret. And recently, reporters at the Daily Mail reported that of the $18.6 million raised by Archwell Foundation, $14.3 million had come from one very wealthy individual, which would point to them having yet to attract a wider donor base. And here's another interesting tidbit. So this week, the California Senator, Dianne Feinstein, announced that she was going to retire at the end of her term. And that's the very seat that in the past it has been reported Meghan Markle wants to try for. Now, it has been years since there was any discussion of Meghan having a crack at the political office, and today the idea of Meghan going to Washington verges on comical. So with all that in mind, where exactly can Harry and Meghan go from here? Because seriously, at this point, who even takes them seriously? They have made themselves objects of permanent fascination, but also mockery thanks to their regular bouts of whining and also trashing the royal family. Right now, it seems like they exist on the outside of the big leagues. What is obvious is that the big wigs, when it comes to politics, philanthropy, or business, have yet to welcome Meghan and Harry into their midst. So, maybe if they need some help, they can call up Kris Jenner. She at least knows how to get some names into headlines. And you, what do you think about Meghan and Harry? Please tell me your opinion below in the comments section, and we can also discuss your thoughts and feelings. If you think my video is useful, please don't forget to like and share it with your friends and relatives who would love it anytime you want. And please subscribe to our Kate Middleton and the Queen News YouTube channel to get more updates from our team. Now, thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day, and I'll be back to see you in the next videos.